Hi everyone, and thank you for your interest in this video. Today I wanted to talk about the future of the gender of men, and I came to this topic because I recently read that scientists found that that men in the West produce less and less sperm over the last decades. And I thought about okay, what might it be the reason for this? There are several hypotheses around, and with this decrease of sperm, there is kind of, for some men, there's also this fear swinging with it. Oh my god, an existential fear for our gender. Or some men might probably be like, this is what what feminism leads to. Less sperm production. We are going to stop being men at some point at all. So first of all, this is a fear of some men. And then I thought, what if you follow this fear actually and think about, okay, what could be the reason that men have reduced their sperm production? And I came to the following hypothesis. Important. This is not science, or maybe it is science, but this is basically just me thinking weird somewhere late in the evening. I'm not sure how probable it is you might find this in the next science blogs, and I'm not science blogs or science articles, and I'm not sure whether it will turn true or not. We'll see. So what actually, if the social developments, I mean, probably it's much more likely that men produce less sperm because in the Western world men move less, and I think this is since like diet and also the way how you exercise is has a significant effect on the sperm production. I think this is probably the most probable scientific reason for that. But then I thought, okay, the mind and the psyche has a lot of impact on the real body. So what if actually, if it is true and that the social developments of men, like not being the fighter, not having to constantly having to go to war, and so on, like the life of 20,000 years ago, where many men had to defend the cave and run out and hunt mammoths or all kinds of other deers. I don't know if mammoths lived 20,000 years ago, whatever. So basically, we are out of the cave, and we actually have now, especially again enforced by the Me Too movement and other feminist movements, we men are encouraged to actually to lay down this kind of striving for power or violence, or like we had to lay down the idea of narrow. We have to develop now complex personalities. We actually have to develop now personalities almost as complex as the personalities of women, which I say in both cases they are not necessarily naturally more complex, but simply because society has totally different expectations of women. So what if the decrease of violence and aggression and the decrease of the necessity to constantly reproduce, because our children are not constantly, in the majority of the world, sorry, this is not true for Yemen, probably not true for South Sudan, and maybe for a few other regions of the world. But in the majority of the world, children are not dying as fast anymore. Children mostly survive. There is no need to have like 10 or 12 children anymore, because only 4 will make it up as adults. While also during adulthood, many will die. There's really, we can have 1 or 2 children, and there's a much higher likelihood that they will grow up, will grow healthy, and become old. Not everywhere, same on the world, but yes. So this situation, and the fact that men are not required anymore every day to risk our lives to get food on the plate, but actually just go to work, where the work can be more or less dangerous, but it's certainly not comparable to 10,000 years ago. what if this actually leads to these social environments leads to the decrease of sperm production? I mean, first of all, I think our sperm production can be lowered to 10%, and you only need one working sperm for to melt with an egg. So to fuse with an egg. So that should not be a problem. So what if this sperm production decreases and decreases and decreases and decreases? What will happen to us men? Well, my prognosis is that one part of the decrease of the sperm production is the social environment, and indeed that in an age where already lesbians are having babies, because you can, out of two female eggs, you can make a new human being, perfect human beings. Not possible yet with men, but with women it's perfectly possible. That will be possible for men at some point as well. I think in an age where also we start about maybe where we become more aware of genes and will be able to modify genes, I think the genders will merge. And indeed, what we know today as men, maybe even merge somewhat biologically, because there have always been intersex people with a penis, a vagina, both or neither, have always existed and have gone through horrible procedures to force them into one or the other gender. But what if society actually merges all those genders, abandons gender, and I think yeah, we will just be humans. Now, this is maybe not very applicable today because, for example, there are trans people who really want to be seen in their gender, and I'm not saying that we should do this today, but I think the genders, as also men, especially men, being the somewhat also the gender that biologically is today the least necessary gender. Actually, we are sorry but true. We are the least necessary gender today, and we. As there are no women don't need to be protected against wild animals in the same way anymore as for 10 or 20,000 years. There are guns, so every woman can, if there are any wild animals, a woman can use a gun. There are cities, and like we are very much safe. So biologically, actually, men are in this case the least necessary gender. But as humanity is usually not on the way to just exterminate now all men. I think we will merge. And this means, to some point, indeed, men, we probably will die out. Is this problematic? Is this bad? I think it is only bad for people who think us, the men, and over there, the women. And there's a big gap between us. But whoever sees humanity as a big spectrum will recognize that no matter how male you will always fall out of male definitions in some points, and in some points you'll confirm. So for me personally, the perspective that men will die out at some point, probably simply also because in 200 years maybe women don't even give birth anymore in the classical way, but couples or family constellations will go to the gene laboratory, will say, we would like to have a gene, we'd like to have a baby made out of us 2, 3, maybe 4 people. And this is how maybe families will procreate. So the necessity for men also in the reproductive area is also probably simply not necessary anymore in that case. And I don't know enough about genetics. Maybe you need sperm and eggs to recreate a human in order to have the fitting DNA to recreate a human. Maybe you can also take other cells to containing the entire DNA, so you can recreate a human. But yes, maybe, especially also concerning the topic of gene engineering and genealogy, I think we probably also won't be needed in 500 years to procreate in the way we do it today. So should it alarm you that our productions are decreasing? First of all, I think the most rational or most probable reasons are that it is probably simply a lack of exercise and a lack of certain other environments. But the fact that we might also merge at some point with all other genders, are just going to be extinct in our current ways how men currently are, I have to say, humanity is progressing, and that's not a bad thing for me. That's not a bad thing for me. So I hope my destruction of malehood has not scared you off, or has not made you afraid of the future. I think we have a very great future ahead of us, and yeah, but probably maybe in a few hundred years without men, as all people with penises might probably simply not label themselves under the gender of men. So what do you all think? Am I crazy, or do you think it's a great perspective? Great perspective. Finally rid of those men. Or what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for your interest in this video. Have a good one. Bye.